What is up, everyone on YouTube? And today we're going to be talking all about HUCHE'S pop-up shop, which has just returned. Now, if you guys didn't know, this guy returns every so often, and he usually comes into play when we see new limited units or even collab units coming out in the near future. So people usually tend to use HUCHE'S pop-up shop as an indicator that important banners are to come. Because of course, everything here is bought with Skystones, and Smilegate tries to run you dry, so you have to pay with your money to pull for those future units. But let's just actually talk about the shop, because there are a lot of things here that are actually worth it, and a lot of things that aren't. And we're going to scroll down here, and you're going to see that some of these items are going to be refreshing every 12 hours. But in general, the ones above here are going to be permanent. Not in general, but they just are. And there's going to be some picks that you're going to want to buy, and some that you're not going to want to buy. So starting off, let's actually talk about what you want to actually purchase and which ones are actually worth it. So the things that are worth it here are going to be the Mystic Metals. Now the Mystic Metals are always worth it because on average, if you want these 50, it'll cost you about 300 to 400 Skystones re-rolling in the secret store. Now of course, those Skystones can also be used to get Covenant bookmarks, but I think Mystic Metals nowadays are worth a lot because there's so many ML5 stars coming out that are very strong. And we also have that new Mystic Summon event coming very soon. So Mystic Metals are very worth it, which is why I recommend purchasing these, especially if you're into the late game and are hunting for new Moonlight 5-star units. If you're in the early game, honestly, I would say skip these. If you're newer to the game and you're still building your teams for content, like hunts and stuff like that, then you can probably skip this because Covenant bookmarks are going to be worth more to you than Mystics when you're trying to build your teams for PvE. Next, when we scroll down, this random level 85 epic equipment is going to be the next thing that is worth it. You don't want to buy just anything here. You want to keep going through. And what you're looking for is going to be a ring, a necklace, or boots. And you want this main stat to match with the set. You want all of the sets and this main stats to match with the substats as well. And you basically want it to have high rolls. You want the equipment score to be above, I'd say, like 32. Something like this on like a right side piece could be okay. If you have that score, and you're basically just going through eventually, and if you don't find a piece, you just don't buy it for this rotation of HUCHE'S store. If you find a good piece, you can consider it. I think out of maybe like, I don't know how many HUCHE'S pop-up stores that I've done, but in the past 3 or 4 years that I've had HUCHE come into the game, then I think I got like 2 or 3 pieces from this. Most of the time, I'd say you're not going to really get anything. As you guys can see right now, pretty much nothing that is of interest here. I'm looking for like 32 score and above on the right side pieces that can actually make sense. So yeah, basically nothing. We're gonna go till the end. There's a little bit left here. It looks like nothing is really worth it or catching my eye. And I typically never go for weapons, helmets, or chests because they're so much more easily accessible. You definitely want to you definitely want to spend your Skystones on the harder to get right side pieces because 1,100 Skystones is a lot, and you want to make sure you're getting good value for it. So yeah, it looks like this is the last reroll, and there's nothing, so I'm just going to skip over this. But in general, you want to refresh this because it is free. It's only when you buy it, it'll cost you. So make sure to refresh it so you actually can see if you get good gear. Next, we have these Mana Stones. I think these are not really worth it at face value because they're so expensive for only refreshing one piece of gear, returning one piece of gear, and there's a chance that that piece of gear doesn't even roll well as well. Now, if you have one piece in your inventory that you really want to reroll, then you can consider it, especially these purple ones that work on level 88 pieces, because some of the pieces that you get from events that are level 88 are very, very strong. And if you low roll them, you definitely want to consider actually maybe using it on them. So if you look here, for example, some of them can be like the World Championship rings. For example, this one rolled pretty poorly. So I most likely will buy one of these and re-roll this ring because 91 gear score is not that great. If you look at the other one I have, 98 is pretty decent. So for me, one of these might actually be worth it. On that note, I did buy it, so let's actually do it. You can see at the top here, it's the most recommended piece of gear to actually reset in my ring. So I'm going to reset it here because it is terrible, not going to lie, especially for what it started at. And we are just going to YOLO it to 12. Maybe it'll go to 15 right away. Nope. But already we're at plus 12. It's only 4 score lower than it was at plus 15. So this is a ton better. And with this, it should go up to almost 102. So you can see if you have these pieces to use it on, it can become very good. That ring went from pretty trash to god tier. This ring is so good now. Definitely going to take it off my Free Spiritaria who's holding it as a farmer and put it on a PvP unit because this ring just ended up being one of the best rings on my account. So yeah, back to HUCHE'S store here. You can see why these can be good if you have specific pieces you want to use it on. Also, by the way, I would only recommend using it for the accessories. So these purple ones are very good for the accessories. But moving on, reforging and material selection chests. For 600 Skystones, I think it's pretty steep. We have a lot of ways to get these reforge mats now, but if you really need it, then I guess if you have a ton of Skystones left over, not really worth it. Greater artifact charms, these are pretty good. The only thing is that people don't really want to spend Skystones on artifact charms because they are technically farmable, but artifact charms are time gated in the fact that you can only really farm them from guild shop, and those crests you get actually take a while to farm up. So for me personally, I think it is worth it to buy these if you're in the late game and you're playing for PvP and you already have a lot of units, but for most players, you're probably not going to want to buy these. Now for the last permanent item that doesn't rotate is the HUCHE'S Lucky Chest. These are going to always be worth it. You can see the details here in what can actually be in these chests. Always, it's going to be worth it for you. Even 3 leaves, if you get it, which is the highest chance, is worth it because 1 leaf is going to be worth around, I'd say like 40 Skystones almost. And 3 leaves times 40, it's 120 Skystone value, so it's always going to be worth it. The worst thing you can actually get from this is going to be the equipment and accessory charms, but everything else is pretty worth it. And if you get lucky, you can get some Molagoras, some equipment conversion selection chests, and also some, 4-star, 5-star hero summon tickets, 5-star summon tickets, and stuff like that. So we're just going to buy it. I got a Molagora, already worth it because 1 Mola, as you see here, is worth 500. And basically, if I buy all 5 of these, it's going to be 500. So already worth it. Everything else is a bonus. Got 5 leaves, right? That's worth about, say, like 200 Skystones right there. Now the charms, not that good. I really say that's worth 0. More leaves, so that's going to be worth about like 120. And then we have another charm. So I got like 300 Skystones extra worth of value from this, so it's pretty worth it. Now for the rotating items, there's only going to be 2 things I really recommend. 3 actually. The 3 things I'm going to recommend are Mystic Metals, if you actually get them. Another thing is going to be Leafs, because they're always worth it. And another thing is going to be Equipment Conversion Gems, if you are in the late game and you already have a lot of units. These are going to be worth a lot, because this is the majority of your boots, your rings, and your necklaces that you're going to craft, and how you get those pieces of gear. But yeah, besides that, not really worth it in the rotating store. Some might say the epic artifact charms, right? Like these cheap ones, because they're pretty much the same as these in terms of Skystones to EXP value. But that's really up to you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video though, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are purchasing. And also keep in mind, because HUCHE'S pop-up shop is back, we do probably have some important banners coming in the future. So you want to make sure you save your bookmarks.